This week, we're going to upcycle this headboard and footboard. And a lot of times these do not sell very well. This one is a full size. People want queen and king size beds. Full size headboard and footboard just don't sell very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a collaboration with Alex out in his shop, in the woodworking shop, and see if we can't turn this into something else rather than having to just trash it and put it in a landfill. Let's see if we can make it something useful. So let's go out there now. Hey Alex.
Hello.
I've got a project for you.
Oh no.
As always.
That never goes well. What you got?
I have a headboard and footboard that we need to repurpose into something more useful.
Okay.
It's a full size, so wave your magic wand.
So what I'm thinking is we're going to bring this up, bring it out, put some boards on this. This should be a pretty decent looking bench. Got some cubbies up here, which is kind of pretty nice. So the way the footboard's made, we've got what looks to be an oak veneer on a piece of poplar. Now these are just on with screws. We're going to have to make them taller. We're obviously going to want to bring the height of this up just so we can get a level bench. So hopefully, oh yeah, nice and easy. So I've taken some detailed measurements of these two pieces and it looks like this is going to be a really simple project, which is nice. Very approachable. Already taken the legs off. The legs are 1.5 inches across. I don't think this is a project you necessarily need to have a workshop for. It really could be done with off-the-shelf lumber and just pocket screws. So we're going to have the front of the bench with this as a feature at the bottom. It kind of matches the theme of the headboard piece. Now we need to make a couple of modifications to this, but nothing significant. Okay, so we need to mark so that our foot, because our foot's going to be coming this way, we just need room that's going to get through. It's not super critical that it's perfect, as long as it's not too small. That's what matters. So we'll actually slightly oversize it. Got some 1x2. They call it 1x2. It's 1.5 by 3/4. Why make it easy? What we're going to do is we're just going to get some glue, get some clamps. We're going to glue these together. We're going to leave them overnight, and then they'll become our feet. So we went and got our boards. What we ended up settling on was a 1x3 board. 1x3, of course, as everyone knows, is really 3/4 by 2.5. So the way doing 6 of these boards lays out, it'd be about 16 inches as the front to back measurement. These edges are very square, so I'm going to go ahead and just round them over with a sander, just make them just that little bit more comfortable. We'll just soften them. Our pieces came off the glue. It's not great, so I'm going to have to just flush this up a bit just to make it better. I think I'm going to go ahead and just hand plane that down. The beauty of using a plane over a sander is it's so much quicker. If your blade's sharp, what might take 20 minutes to sand, it's going to take about 2 with one of these. So I've got it clamped in the vise. Because this is a nice wide plane, it's going to level out these 2 surfaces because it's going to reference off the higher one. So as long as you keep it square, it'll just bring this down, and then when you start touching both sides, you know that they're even. So we're ready to start putting our piece together now. We've got our 2x boards nicely sanded. The way this is going to go together is the back side of this is going to be pocket screwed into the headboard, and then from the front we're going to go through the side. So we'll drill a nice neat line of holes down there for putting our screws through. What we're going to use for doing pocket holes is we're going to use the really simple pocket hole jig. I've got the big fancy jig, but you don't need one of these. If you're only doing a couple of the holes, you can get by with a small one. So let me show you how we go about doing that. So I actually like buying these jigs because it's a really cheap way to get an extra drill bit. Sometimes it's cheaper than buying a drill bit on its own is to buy the really simple jig. You have to assemble it, I seem to recall, which is really just a case of doing that. Assembled. Depending on the size of the wood you're working on, you have to adjust this stop here. So we're working with 3/4 lumber. So we just find that position and it locks in there. And you can see we've got the 3/4 one. The drill bit's nice and simple. It comes with a stop collar too. So you can make out on the drill bit, hopefully. you got 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1.5. So you line this hole up here to frame the 3/4 part. And then with the Allen key provided, you just lock it in. Okay, there's no real best position for pocket holes to be in, but I'm just gonna go one about this side, one about the middle, one at the top. Now with this jig, you really want to be sure you clamp it good. And I'm using a face clamp here because obviously the other side is exposed and we're standing. We're not going to want to damage that any bit. So our stop's there. So that's going to be sure that we get the right position for the screw. We're nicely clamped. And it's just a case of getting your drill and just drilling in. And we got a nice pocket hole like that. You don't need the expensive tools. The big jig's nice, but if you're only doing a couple, that's perfectly fine. It's the difference between about $15 and about $150. So I am just going to go ahead and get the rest of these holes drilled, and then we can start assembly. So with the two side pieces on, it's quite easy to get an idea of what this is going to look like when it's done. I've just got a few of the planks. We'll end up cutting these just a little bit, so it's going to be a neater fit, but I think that's going to look pretty good. You can see already there's going to be a bit of a sag in these, so we're going to take some of that leftover 2x8, and I think we're going to do, we'll do 3 additional supports on the inside. We'll just tie them in with pocket screws too. The goal today is to work fast. It's going to be hot today. So it's already quite warm, and it's only just after 8 in the morning. As I said, when you're only doing 1 or 2 pocket holes, you can do well with this, but I'm going to put 3 in each end of this, so it's going to be a few of them, so I'm just going to knock them out on the actual big jig. So when you got a lot of pocket holes to do, it really pays to have one of the fancier jigs, but it's all about time. If you're not in a hurry and you want to save a bit of money, is it worth 10 times the price? To me it is. When I'm doing cabinetry, I may end up putting 80 screws in a single cabinet, so when you got to put 80 holes in those, being able to do 5 in 5 minutes versus being able to do 50 in 5 minutes is quite a difference. So making use of Rhea's nice concrete floors, we've been able to set this up with some clamps. Because the floors are nice and solid, I'm able to get in here with my square and we can work out where we're nice and square, so we can go ahead and attach this. I'm gonna use the fine threaded pocket screws. What the clamps will do, they just hold it in position so we don't have to worry about this moving. Sometimes the pocket screws, they'll force out just a little bit when you put them in. Good to use an actual real drill for this with a clutch control. It just stops you running the risk of damaging the wood by overdriving it, because if you overdrive into this, you're going to blow the pocket out and it won't do a thing for you. In order for our braces to have some support, we're going to throw our board into the back here. We couldn't do that beforehand because we wouldn't be able to get into these pocket screws. And we need it flush to the top. It's not that important these are square, it's just pride. Doesn't matter, does it?
It does, because your wife's got just a hint of OCD and she'd say, these are not straight.
So I've already pre-marked this front apron, so I know where I'm trying to line these up. I'm not just guessing. Yeah, now we're getting tight. Thank you. All these boards are absolutely identical in size, so the reason this one's so tight is because we've now got 4 braces in here, so it's just pulling the whole thing. It's going to make it nice and strong. Pocket holes on their own aren't terribly strong, but we're now 18 across the middle plus another 6 at the end, so when you start adding them up, they provide a lot of strength and very easy to do.
Okay, Alex has done his part on this bench, and now it's time for me to do the finishing on it. So I am going to start by tack ragging it because it's gotten quite dusty. This piece has been cleaned, stripped. When I got it, it had a lot of white paint on it. It looked like ceiling paint, actually. It was horrible. Not many people have a full-size bed anymore, so got to figure out other things to do with these. Keep them out of the landfills and give them a new life. I'm not going to stain it, but I'm going to leave it natural wood. I like the look of that oak. It's got nice grain to it, and I think it'll go well with the color that I've chose for this. Okay, we're just going to prime this piece with some 123 primer. It's tinted gray, which will be fine with the color that I've chosen to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a coat of primer on this. I don't think that this unit will bleed too much. And the 123 does have a stain blocker in it. If I thought this was going to bleed quite a bit, I would use the Ben's primer, but I think we'll be okay with the 123. Now we're just going to move on to the headboard. The back of it, I guess now you would say. Back of the bench, because it's no longer a headboard. It is a bench. So I took a green, added some yellow, added some white until I got the tone that I wanted, and we've got a sage green. So, and then to turn it into chalk paint, I've done that video. 4 tablespoons of calcium carbonate, 2 tablespoons of water to 8 ounces of paint, and that will make you a nice chalk paint. And it's a very inexpensive way to do chalk paint and to mix your own colors. You can do custom colors. So as long as you can dream it, you can make it. Because when you're flipping furniture for profit, spending a lot of money on a bunch of different colors of paint is not a cost-effective way to do it. But if you can use your color wheel, you can make a lot of colors. Okay, so now we've got 2 coats of color on the bench, done it in a sage green, and we're ready to untape the edges. And then we can move on. Oh, I just messed up my nail. It's kind of a job hazard thing here. I've got a stubborn little piece of tape that doesn't want to come off. So I pulled my little scrapers out. And we'll get that off.
So we're ready to get the planks onto the bench now, and using the same technique we used before, we're going to have to use 3 drill bits for each screw we put in, but it's just what you got to do when you're working with oak to make sure you don't get any splinter damage or anything like that. Just like that.
Just like that. Okay, now that we have this bench all put together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and top coat it. And I'm going to use a General Finishes top coat. This is an interior bench, and I absolutely love General Finishes. You all know that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set top coated and get this project finished. The General Finishes is a great top coat. It does not yellow. It costs a bit more, but it is absolutely worth it. Gives a beautiful, long-wearing finish. So if you are looking for a good one, I highly, highly recommend it. I am not sponsored by them. Don't I wish? But I do absolutely love their top coats. All right, so let's get going. So we got the bench all finished. This is a great way to upcycle a headboard from the era where they had the bookshelves. Nobody wants them. They're really hard to sell, but this is what you can do. Make yourself a bench for your covered patio, your deck, entryway. I mean, it would be a great bench for a kitchen table. You know, it has lovely storage and just a way to upcycle a piece and keep it out of the landfill. So if you like this video and you found anything helpful, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.